passionate, driven, enthusiastic, euphoric. This is who we are as entrepreneurs. But how we leverage these incredible attributes to dream and build businesses that scale and grow is what this podcast is all about. Hello, I'm attorneypreneur Josh Brown, and welcome to Franchise Euphoria. Hello, everybody. Josh Brown here. Welcome back to another episode of Franchise Euphoria. Just thrilled to be here today. Really excited. Got a lot of things I want to talk about today, all under the guise of how to run your business like a franchise. The key being, even if you don't want a franchise. I've said it once, I'll say it again, not every business should be a franchise business. And you might be saying, but Josh, this is franchise euphoria. No, I get it. But the whole premise, the whole basis for why I created Franchise Euphoria was I believe at my core that every business can benefit from operating like a franchise, even if you don't become a franchise. And today I'm going to go over 5 reasons to run your business like a franchise. Well, before I get into it, I want to take an opportunity to read a couple more recent reviews that came through on iTunes. And of course, I really appreciate anybody who comes in and reviews and listens to my podcast, you know, good, bad, indifferent. I want to know what you think. I want to know how I'm doing. And I want to, most importantly, know whether or not I'm providing value to you, because that's the ultimate goal in doing this. Recently, we had a review from Wingo Law that says, first rate, 5 stars. Both the production quality and content are very good. I have found the information to be accurate and the advice sound. So thank you very much, Wingo Law. Really appreciate that. Another recent one says, awesome, 5 stars. Josh delivers the real deal with Franchise Euphoria. This podcast reeks wisdom and common sense techniques to both improve and explode your franchise business. Keep on rocking, brother. Cleo Cabin, I think, or Caban. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that, but he's the CEO of beautyfashionandwar.com. Enough excuses, get it done. He's got an awesome podcast as well. You can check that out at beautyfashionandwar.com. I don't know Cleo, but I did happen to stumble across and listen to his podcast, and it's good stuff. So anyways, thank you, Cleo. Thank you, Wingo Law. Like I said, I really appreciate those reviews. And the people take the time to go on and do that. You know, that's really great. So anyways, let's get right to it. So 5 reasons to run your business like a franchise. Well, the number one reason, and again, this is not in any particular order because I think all 5 are very important, but the number one reason to run your business like a franchise is it will force you to systemize your business. I can't tell you the number of entrepreneurs who I know, who I meet, that seemingly have great businesses, but when you get right down to it, they don't have either any or enough systems in place that will allow them to scale their business. So I think it's really important. And I'm actually going through this process myself. I mean, I'm tweaking systems that I had. I'm creating systems that I didn't have. I'm constantly looking at ways in which I can take a step back from my business and look at it objectively and say, here's what I'm doing. How can I systemize that? And one thing that's kind of interesting is you learn a lot just by going through that process. So, you know, a lot of people feel like the end game is to come up with the perfect system, and that's really not the case. Going through the process of creating a system, a lot of times you'll find, wow, I'm doing things in kind of an inefficient way. And you'll learn as you write down the steps to create a system. And I'm talking about systems for, you know, what you do when a potential client reaches out to you, what you do when a potential customer reaches out to you. What is that flow like? And get it down to where you can then analyze it and say, okay, well, we're doing 10 steps right now where we really could make this a little bit more efficient with 6 steps, or we're doing 10 steps and we really need to do 12 steps because maybe there's a missing link. So the number one, or I should say the first reason to run your business like a franchise is it will force you to systemize your business. Every single good franchise business has systems in place. Heck, that's really a big part of what you're buying when you buy a franchise. And certainly when you scale your business to become a franchise, you have to have systems in place. The second thing is process, right? So systems and process kind of go hand in hand, but a system is going to be, okay, how I go about the details of saying, this is the system for when somebody calls, and this is the process by which we create and we take that information and we turn it into a process that's going to work well within a business. So systems and processes really do go hand in hand, but it is so important that you know the process that you go through, or that your business is going to go through on a daily, monthly, annual basis with each aspect of your business. So as you're creating the systems for your business, you need to know how that fits into the overall process of what you're doing and how your business runs. Number 3 is doing all this will really help you streamline your business. You often hear about in the business world the 80-20 rule, and traditionally people think of that as focus on the things that are 80% profitable and get rid of the things that are 20% not profitable. And of course you want to do that. I mean, if you got 20% of what you're doing and it's not profitable, of course you got to get rid of it. But oftentimes businesses, as they're growing, as they're adapting, as they're learning new things about what they do and learning about new niches that they can fill, they might get into an area where maybe 20% of what they do is profitable, but it's not as profitable as the other 80% of what they do. And I'm a big believer that if you think of your business like a franchise, you would focus on the 80% and still get rid of that 20%, even though it's profitable. I'm going to say that again. I mean, even if you are operating multiple and you have multiple streams of revenue, I think it's very important to always have your finger on the pulse and always be thinking about how can I compound my most profitable areas and get rid of my least profitable areas, even though they might be profitable. I firmly believe that you can vastly improve your bottom line quicker, much quicker, by focusing on what's most profitable for your business or what you do best versus focusing on something that may add money and may add revenue and may be profitable to a certain degree, but it's not the core of what you do. So I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of small business owners, I think that's an exercise that is really a quarterly or semi-annually or definitely annual exercise to go through and take a look at what you're doing and where your focus as a business is, so that you can streamline what you're doing to make sure that you are most profitable. Number 4 is focus, right? So when you run your business like a franchise, it forces you to focus on your core competencies. It focuses you as a business, as an entrepreneur, so that you can almost run your analysis through a set of criteria. And that is, if this business was a franchise, it would have to be simple, repeatable, and profitable. Those are the 3 main metrics in my mind of what makes for a great franchise. Because in order for somebody else, as a franchisee, owner, operator, to come into your business and to run it profitably, it has to be simple from the perspective of it has to be easy to understand and easy to implement, because a lot of franchisees don't have business experience and may not have business experience with your particular industry. So it's got to be a simple, repeatable, and profitable process for it to work. And so I think that running your business like a franchise really forces you to focus on that. And I think that's really a good metric to run everything you do through it. I mean, if you find yourself doing things where it's not real clear what you're doing. It's certainly not repeatable and maybe not profitable. I would give really great thought on why you're doing it, and if you want to continue to do it, and how you can streamline it even more so that you can stay focused again on what it is that you do. Number 5 is profit. Every business at the end of the day is focused on profit. I mean, we're not just in business to make money, but that is a goal. I mean, you want to help people, you want to do the right thing, you want to create goodwill and all those sorts of things. But if you're not making money as a business, you have no business. I mean, you're really just operating a hobby or doing a hobby. And so there's nothing wrong with making money. But when you think about your business and you think about what you do as a business, I think if you run it like a franchise, you are going to be very, very honed in on not only what your net profits are, but what your profit margins are, and really geared around that number, because that's the only way that you can effectively scale. I mean, if you're going to scale your business, especially if you're going to scale it like a franchise, you're going to have a very clear idea of how you derive profit, and how your franchisees are going to derive profit, how they're going to make money. And so I think that serves as a really, really great way and a great reason for you as a small business owner to run your business like a franchise, because it will really refocus you on the bottom line, on the profit. So just to recap, 5 reasons to run your business like a franchise: the advantage of putting systems in place, processes in place, going through the exercise of streamlining your business. It really helps you to focus in on your core competencies and really refocuses your efforts and your energies on bottom line profits for your business. I mean, if you can do those things for your small business, I don't care if you franchise. It doesn't matter, but you're going to put yourself in a position to where you can grow, or you're going to put yourself in a position to where you become attractive for somebody else to come in and possibly buy your company or expand your company. It's just all good things happen when you think like a franchise, because at the end of the day, franchising is a growth strategy. And just like any kind of growth strategy, some businesses are better suited for it than others. But the principles behind franchising can help you as a small business owner really, really, really improve your efficiencies, your process, and your profit, which is really what you want to do. And you will be much, much better for it. So hopefully this was helpful to you today. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a preview. Next week, I'm going to have an interview with a really interesting entrepreneur named Kevin Cope, and he wrote a fantastic business book called Seeing the Big Picture: Business Acumen to Build Your Company, to build your credibility, career, and company. And I just finished, I read the book, and it is really a great business book. And I think there's going to be an opportunity next week, so definitely tune in on Tuesday's show, because I'm going to have the interview there. But I think he's going to be giving away a few books and whatnot, and so it's what I like about this book is that there's so many business books out there nowadays that are just purely focused on the motivational side of business, and those have great value. Trust me. I mean, getting in the game is hard, and it's a hard decision to make. But what this book does is it has such great practical applications. I mean, Kevin in the book Seeing the Big Picture really focuses in the 5 drivers of every small business, and how every business needs to focus in on how practically to look at these drivers and to look at your own business. He also breaks down, financial statements and income statements and balance sheets and all those sorts of things that a lot of entrepreneurs kind of go, I don't want to deal with that. But it's so important to your business. So again, just a little sneak preview. That's going to be the interview I have on Tuesdays with Kevin Cope. Great book called Seeing the Big Picture. So hope you tune in, and it really ties into what I'm talking about today, about really working on your business. I mean, that's such a really a goal of mine as I work with entrepreneurs, as I work with businesses that are growing through franchising or people who are buying franchises. Any of those categories, you really got to come at it with an attitude of how you're going to work on your business, how you're going to make your business better, how you're going to make it more efficient. And again, I think if you think about things through the lens of franchising, you will be much better for it. So in any event, feel free to, as always, send me comments, questions, what have you. Josh at franchiseeuphoria.com is the best way to reach me. And I look forward to being back on, well, I guess it would be on Tuesday. Until then, happy franchising.
Thanks for being with us today on the Franchise Euphoria podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to go to iTunes and provide a review. Also, please remember that although Josh Brown is a licensed and practicing attorney, nothing contained in this podcast should be construed as legal advice, because it is not. The information contained in this podcast is general and educational in nature, and none of it should be relied upon as legal advice. That being said, if you have questions for Josh and would like to contact him, please email him at josh@franchiseeuphoria.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you tune in to our next weekly episode.